back to the channel. Welcome back to another reaction video. We got 5 NFL teams most likely to disappoint in 2025. Let's check
5
this
NFL
out.
teams that most likely could disappoint in 2025. Subscribe if you're new. Let's hop into it. Now, before we hop into my top 5, I do have 2 honorable mentions, and I also want to say this. If your team is on this list, I'm not guaranteeing that they're going to be a bad team in 2025. This is just to say they could potentially disappoint.
I know my Ravens
Again,
ain't up here,
most
so I'm
likely,
straight.
not a guaranteed. And of course, if you do disagree, you can peacefully tell me in the comment section below. For my 2 honorable mentions, I have the Dallas Cowboys and the New England Patriots, kind of for opposite reasons. The Dallas Cowboys are a team that obviously every single year have super high expectations. I do think the Cowboys will take a step forward from last year, but I don't necessarily think they're going to be making a deep playoff
good
run,
number
which
2
is what a
receiver
lot
now,
of Cowboys fans are predicting for this upcoming
hopefully
season.
that offense
If you're a
is a lot
Cowboys
better.
fan and you think they're going to win 11 games and maybe make a wild card berth, then you're probably pretty fine and safe. Then for the New England Patriots, there's a lot of buzz around this team potentially being playoff sleepers heading into the 2025 season. And while I do think that they could potentially be in those conversations during the season, I just think by the end of it, they might be a few games short of actually making the playoffs. I could be wrong on this one. I think they're a very talented team, but trusting a young quarterback like Drake May that's still developing with an overall roster that still needs another year of development, to me it might be a little bit early to make that prediction. But with all of that said, let's go ahead and hop into my top 5. At number 5, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, if you guys know anything about me, you guys know that I do not like the Aaron Rodgers signing for Pittsburgh. I have been one of the many people that adamantly said that this was a terrible decision for not only Pittsburgh, but probably for Aaron Rodgers as well. Now, for Rodgers' side of things, hey man, go get your bag, go have fun for a season. Pittsburgh's a pretty cool place, so
they still
enjoy
need
your
another
time
receiver,
there. But
bro.
ultimately, I don't think that this season's gonna amount to anything for Pittsburgh. Now, frankly, I don't know if a lot of Pittsburgh fans actually believe in this team and believe this team is going to be title contenders or even playoff contenders, frankly. But if you are one of those Steelers fans that does think that Rodgers can get this team over the edge, I kind of think I have some bad news for you guys.
Bro, if they don't shut the fuck up, God damn, bro. What time is it, nigga? It is 9 o'clock at night, and they out here playing music and shit. God damn.
Guys. Now, for the most part, this offseason, outside of the Rodgers signing, I actually kind of liked what they did in a lot of different ways. Moving off of George Pickens, who by most accounts was not the greatest locker room guy, at least in Pittsburgh. We'll see what he looks like in Dallas. And replacing him with DK Metcalf,
I heard that he was never a problem in the locker room.
Well-decided thing to do. DK, in my opinion, is a better receiver than George Pickens. He's a little bit more well-rounded. And for the most part, I think he will fit into the culture a little bit better in Pittsburgh. With that said, he is paid a lot more than George Pickens, but Pickens is obviously due for a contract, I think, after this year. So it kind of worked out. And then you replace Najee Harris with, of course, Caleb Johnson. Jalen Warren plays a bigger role this season. And I kind of think that's a pretty solid wash right there. And frankly, let us be honest, I do think Rodgers is a better quarterback than Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. I'm not sitting here saying that Rodgers is
way better than what they had with Mason Rudolph and Will Howard.
Close to the guy he used to be. I just don't think that at this stage of his career, with the roster that surrounds him
with the draft being in
gonna
Pittsburgh next year, they gotta draft the quarterback, bro. Because I don't think you really trust Will Howard fully to, you know what I'm saying, be our franchise guy when you got, you know what I'm saying, guys like Drew Aller and Lenore Sellers, you know what I'm saying, Garrett Nussmeier coming out of draft next year. So, hey, man, they could definitely draft a quarterback.
A team that can seriously be competitive. And frankly, I do actually kind of worry about Rodgers, and not necessarily his health, but his ability to make it through the entire season. Number one, 100% healthy, but also, you know, playing at his usual level. This is a Pittsburgh offense that, frankly, is a little bit top heavy. Outside of DK Metcalf, you don't really have anybody who you feel incredible about as that second or third option. Yes, you have Pat Freiermuth, who's a okay tight end. He definitely gets the job done. And of course, you have some solid running backs, and if you think Caleb Johnson will be good, then you feel pretty good about your running back room. Calvin Austin's there. You do have Roman Wilson. We'll see what he can do. Outside of that, you're relying on some veterans. You're relying on some older guys. And just frankly, let's just keep it a buck.
Is going to be the backbone of their team again this year.
In the NFL, it's probably in the bottom.
I can already tell they're going to be dependent on them.
And then you look at the offensive line for Pittsburgh. And while I don't necessarily think this offensive line is horrific by no means, it's definitely not a unit that I feel confident in with a 40-plus-year-old quarterback that at this stage of his career is not the most mobile guy. You are going to
Facts.
rely on Troy Fatanu next year to hopefully be able to play either inside or tackle. We'll just have to wait and see how that ultimately pans out. I did not like what I saw from him in preseason, but of course, that's just a super small sample size to work with. You have to expect him to play a little bit better this upcoming year. And then Broderick Jones has really struggled throughout his young career so far. So other than that, I do think the interior is really solid. I just really worry about those two tackles, which arguably are the most important positions for keeping a quarterback upright. Yet again, I do think this offense will be a more run-heavy unit, with Rodgers maybe being able to take a bit of a back seat and work more in
You
the
got
quick
Caleb
play
Johnson,
action
Jalen
game.
Warren.
But when it comes down to it, if this team has to do a 3rd and long, I just don't think they're going to be very successful. The defense will be solid. I think this team will be about a 9 to 11 win team and probably just inevitably be either a wild card loser or potentially not make the playoffs at all. I don't think they're going to make a deep playoff run. Moving to number 4, I have the San Francisco 49ers. The thing about the 49ers is I think they're actually going to be really good in the regular season, and that's just really because of one main factor, and that's just the simple fact that their schedule is like one of the biggest cakewalks you'll ever see. We won't go through every single game here, but this schedule just
week 1, a lot of people are really doubting Seattle, bro, for I don't know why, but everybody has them last in division for some reason. Like, bro, people forget that they were 10-7 last year in Mike McDonald's first year as head coach, and they gotten even better. So I'm gonna keep it a buck, bro. Don't be surprised if Seattle win that division this year. I'm just saying it right now, gang. But that's not gonna be an easy matchup for them. New Orleans, they should steamroll them niggas. Arizona, it depends on how Kyler Murray plays. You know what I'm saying? Jacksonville, I might be a dub. Rams, they might lose that. I ain't gonna lie. They might lose to Tampa. Oh my gosh, I ain't gonna lie. From week 9 on down, kinda is a cakewalk. I ain't gonna lie. They gotta go through New York, easy. Arizona, maybe. Carolina, Cleveland, Tennessee, Indy, Chicago. Damn, they low-key do got an easy ass schedule. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Some of these games ain't easy though. Like Houston, Atlanta, Tampa. You know what I'm saying? The Rams, Seattle. Those aren't gonna be no easy ass games, bro. But everybody else like it's about to be a cakewalk. I'm not gonna lie.
If you just take a quick pause to look at it, is unbelievably easy. Yes, you have the Rams twice, but outside of that, their next toughest opponent is like Houston and maybe Arizona. In general, I'm actually not worried about San Francisco when it comes to the regular season. I think they're going to be plenty fine in the regular season with that schedule and just with the overall openness of their division. My thing for this team is this is a team that is frankly wanting to make a deep playoff run. They want to return to form and get back to that title contention, when I don't really think they're that close to being in title contention right now. When you look at this offense, there is a shit ton of question marks all over this unit. Not necessarily with Brock Purdy, not of course with George Kittle, but your offensive line did not really get
their
much
wide
better
receiver
from
core
last
is
year.
very
Trent Williams
interesting
is just
too.
getting older. What does he look like at this stage? And of course, can he just stay healthy? Then the rest of your offensive line, can they step up their game? I kind of doubt that. It's a pretty older unit. Your receiving core, you have some good names, and if you rely on Ricky Pearsall to take a step forward, I think you feel okay about this unit. But Ayuk is coming off a major injury. Juwan Jennings is a good player. We'll see what we can get from Ricky Pearsall. Christian McCaffrey's coming off an Achilles injury, which I've heard mixed things about him in camp, but I feel okay about him, at least right now. We'll have to wait and see.
They did draft Jordan James.
And then defensively speaking, this is a very different unit from what we're used to with San Francisco. A whole bunch of new names. I still worry a lot about that defensive line because they were going to be relying on some really young players like an Alfred Collins, a CJ.
Do y'all hear that shit? What the fuck are they doing outside? Bruh.
West, and of course Michael Williams. And
yes,
you do have Nick Bosa. You made the move for Bryce Huff. We'll see what those guys can do. But I still really worry about that unit. You lose Drake Greenlaw, Charvarius Ward, Talanoa Hufanga. Yes, those guys are dealing with injuries, but you have to replace those guys. I like their young and little secondary they have building, but there's some injuries there we have to worry about. And just in general, this is a team that is relying so heavily on younger talent to develop and make this team a title contender that, frankly, I don't think they're going to be at that level this year. Now, long term, I actually do kind of like where San Francisco's at. I think they kind of shed off some of that loose skin this past offseason, getting rid of some bigger contracts and some older guys coming off injuries. So By no means do I think this was a productive offseason in terms of, they lost so much, but I think they did enough to keep this team competitive. And again, I don't worry about this team in the regular season. Instead, I just worry about this team when we get to playoff time, because I don't frankly think this team is going to make a very deep playoff run. Let's go ahead and move over to number 3. And I would say of this list, this is probably my most risky pick of a team in this list, just because they could be awesome next year. And that is the Detroit Lions. Now, when I say they're going to disappoint, I do not think the Detroit Lions are going to go like 8-9 or
damn, that's hella interesting. I mean, like, they did lose both of their coordinators, but I still think they should be like around 11, 12 win team this year. I wouldn't say disappointing, but they still do have a stacked ass roster. But you kind of expect them to take a little bit of a step back when losing both your coordinators. So
this team is still going to be very good. But given just how good this team was last year, even despite the fact with all the injuries, they still won, I think, like 15 games. I think this team has lost a lot this offseason. That makes me, honestly, a rather bit scared about this Lions team and what their future holds. Now, it's not to say, again, that I think this team is going to be shitty. They could end up being title contenders by week 14. I would not be shocked with that. But again, you lose your OC, you lose your DC, you lose your starting center. You're trusting Aiden Hutchinson to come back from, what was it, a broken leg or something like that?
Broken fibula.
He is your go-to pass rusher, because outside of him, not really a great edge rushing room. I just really worry about this team in those ways. And I hate to make this comparison. I did this in a past video.
Shifty,
this Detroit Lions team, in some ways, reminds me of, I might be getting my year wrong, but the 2023 Eagles, where obviously 2022, they make it to a Super Bowl. They lose that Super Bowl. Both their OC and DC go to Indianapolis and Arizona.
And that's a pretty good comparison. I ain't gonna lie.
Those new guys step in there.
At one point in 2023, they were like 10-3 at one point, and then they ended up losing out and then getting like destroyed by the Bucks in the wild card round. I ain't gonna lie, that's not too crazy of a comparison right there.
Absolutely suck. And for the first half of the year, Philadelphia looks incredible, unbeatable, and then the back half they get figured out, and everything that could have went wrong went wrong.
God damn, bro. Oh my gosh. Now this, I ain't gonna lie, this San Fran game absolutely ended their season, bro. They got destroyed 42-19. And then from then on out, oh my gosh, boy.
And then they make the playoffs and lose in the first round. I have a little bit of some deja vu here with that Philadelphia team and this Detroit team, because that Philadelphia team was super talented and had a lot have a lot of great pieces, just like this Detroit Lions team is. And you lose your OC and DC, you have to replace those guys from pieces within. And I just kind of worry a little bit. Now, again, this is a risky pick for a team to put in this video, because there is always the chance this team comes out and just straight up dominates every single team. And I think, frankly, they will do that to some teams. But that starting center of theirs was a massive piece of this offense. He kept that offensive line together. He was so critical in just so many different aspects of the game.
That came out of the blue, though, with him retiring.
Bummer of the year. And I know they have some guys they feel confident in that can replace him, and I'm sure they'll make some moves maybe in the offseason next year or sometime during the trade deadline. We'll have to wait and see how that unit looks. I'm not like overly concerned about this Lions team, but given the fact that Detroit is coming into this year as potential title contenders, you lose your OC, you lose your DC, you lose your starting center. I do kind of worry a little bit about if they're actual title contenders this upcoming season. It also doesn't help this team that I didn't really love their draft either. So again, a risky team to put in this list, but, I like to take risks sometimes, so we'll see how this one pans out. Moving over to number 2, the Cincinnati Bengals. This is a team that is just
motherfuckers ain't got no defense whatsoever. Like, what I hate the most is that people really think the Bengals are playoff contenders. All they have is offense. Defenses win championships, and they don't have that whatsoever. Their corners, weak. Their safeties, weak. That D-line outside of Trey Hendrickson is weak. You know what I'm saying? Linebacker, they got some solid linebackers, I'm not going to lie. But everything else, bro, they don't have, bro. You know what I'm saying? And then they might end up losing Trey Hendrickson. Shamar Stewart might hold out until, the 2026 drive. So they're potentially losing everything on defense, bro. They don't have anything right now, bro. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, they got Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase on offense, but what is, them making the playoffs if they don't have any defense? They're going to be putting up 40 points a game while allowing 50 points a game. Like, come on, gang. You know what I'm saying?
Hell right now in the
I still don't understand why people continue to say that the Bengals are playoff
and frankly,
contenders.
I do not blame the players one bit. This is 1,000% a front office issue that needs to get handled with.
Facts.
Now, I have not done my due diligence to see like if the finer details have been figured out between Trey Hendrickson, which I believe contract negotiations have kind of restarted there, so we'll see what happens there. And of course, Shamar Stewart, we're still waiting to hear on that one. Both of those situations, I do think will end up working out. And I do think
I've been enjoying it though, bro. As a Ravens
will
fan,
be
so
back in
they can
Cincinnati
do whatever they
uniforms
want
this upcoming season. So that is the good news. I mean, at least I'm predicting it will be the good news. But even if those guys still do return, I still have a lot of issues with this Bengals roster. Now, let's get this out of the way. As long as you have Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow and T. Higgins healthy, your offense is going to be super productive and able to score with any roster out there. But I still do worry about this defense. Yes, you get a new defensive coordinator. We'll see if that gets the job done. I still think the unit is kind of scarce with talent outside of Trey Hendrickson. Like, yes, you're bringing Shamar Stewart. Still a lot of question marks with what he looks like in his rookie season. I think your secondary has some flaws too. Just a lot of question marks all over this defense.
Had an up and down year.
Yet again, I think this offense will probably be top 10. But can they replicate the same success they saw last year, where this was probably the best offense in the NFL? I mean, let's not get it twisted. Cincinnati, in like after week 5 or so, had one of the most incredible offenses you'll ever see that was just scoring 30, 40 points a game. And yet, despite that, they were still losing games. And I do worry that if this Cincinnati Bengals defense does not take a drastic step forward, and if this offense takes a slight step back from where they were last year, I do worry that this Bengals team is just not going to be very good. Now, I think it's all dependent on if you're going to be disappointed on this team, depending on what your overall thought process is on Cincy. Like, if you think Cincinnati are title contenders and can get back to that 2021 form where they were in the Super Bowl, then I kind of think I have bad news for you. Like, they're not going to get there. But if you are a realistic, fan of Cincinnati that thinks they'll win like 10 to 12 games next year and probably make the playoffs,
they'll be lucky to even win that.
Somewhat fair. My big concern is that I don't know if this team is frankly going to make the playoffs at all.
Hey, Jamar. Hey,
fair. My big concern is that
this shit ain't gonna fly this year, nigga. Hey, we got some dogs, boy. We ain't got Brandon Stevens, Marcus Williams, or Eddie Jackson no more. So good luck trying to do this shit this year.
Going to make the playoffs at all.
That shit ain't
the
gonna
AFC
fly,
is super talented this year with a lot
now.
of really high-end talents. You look at the entire AFC West. They're very competitive within the own division of the Bengals. You have the Ravens. Bills are over there. Miami could also potentially, we'll see what they'll look like this year. You have the Patriots. You have the Houston Texans, the Colts. I mean, there's a lot of really talented teams. And I just kind of worry that Cincy might be the worst defense in this division, in this conference, frankly. And that could kind of hold them back. But we'll just have to wait and see. Again, it's kind of dependent on what your viewpoint is of Cincinnati. But let us go on and move over to number 1. It is unfortunately the Miami Dolphins. Now, I think Miami's a talented team, and I think their offense is going to be pretty good next year as long as you have.
What's surprising, bro? I'm surprised
he
didn't put Carolina in here, but I ain't gonna lie, Carolina might be a sleeper team this year. Tennessee, I got Tennessee making the playoffs in my opinion. I think they're gonna have a Washington Commanders type season from 2023, but Miami, bro, I don't know, cause like Tua, he inconsistent at times, and he's been struggling to stay healthy. You can say that. You can say the same thing for like the whole entire team, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? Tyreek Hill has missed some time. Jalen Waddle, Achane has missed some time. Defensive wise, you got Jalen Phillips coming off. I think was it a torn ACL, torn Achilles, something like that. Bradley Chubb has struggled to stay healthy. You know what I'm saying? And they didn't been talking about trading Jalen Ramsey, so. I don't know, bro. This team is a little iffy. They did draft Kenneth Grant to be a Christian Wilkins replacement. Other than that, I don't know, bro. I don't know. The offensive line might still be iffy. Armstead retired. They did draft a tackle, I believe, in the draft. I think with Jonas Avainaya or something like that. The dude from Arizona. But I don't know, bro. Miami might be one of those weird teams, bro, this year.
You have that quarterback in Tua Tagovailoa. If you can get Tyreek and Waddle to stay healthy, and if they can get some ground game stuff going with who they have in that backfield, the offense should be good. I also think they have a pretty underrated defensive line, especially off the edge. They have some legitimate juice on the outside. But what scares me about this team outside of some of their, more pros is that I still think their offensive line needs a lot of work. I still worry about the secondary. And frankly, I just kind of worry about what the upside of this team
Chop Robinson
is.
too.
When you have Tua Tagovailoa as your quarterback, who by most accounts seemingly is a good quarterback in terms of being in the locker room, seems to be a good guy. And yes, he can dominate lower tier competition. Like they can just drop 50, 40, 50, 70. They could drop a shit ton of points on those teams. But when they start to go up against the more talented teams within the AFC, when they get
Oh yeah, and then another thing, bro, they can't play in cold weather. If they go to Buffalo, Baltimore, which we played them this year, you know what I'm saying? They go to any of these cold weather states, bro, they can't play. You know what I'm saying? That's something they need to figure out this year, bro. They need to either practice in cold weather or something. Like, they need to figure out something, because whenever they go against these cold weather teams, they ended up falling flat on their face, bro.
Playoffs. This is a Miami team that just straight up just flounders. Like, they do not play good at all. I think that's not just a problem with the overall roster, but I think that's a more big problem with Tua himself.
Had a good roster.
I think Tua at this stage, with how much he's making, the expectation should be that he can lead this team to victories over high-level talent and high-level competition, but so far he has not proven the ability to do so. So you take all these cons into account: a poor secondary that's likely trading away Jalen Ramsey, by the way, a really poor offensive line, and an offense that I frankly don't think is going to be very good against high-end competition.
For so many different teams.
About this Miami Dolphins team. Now, their schedule may not be the hardest in the world, but maybe it is. I haven't checked their schedule, but I just think this team is probably going to be a team that wins 8 to 10 to 11 games. If they make the playoffs, it's yet again going to be another disappointing season. So if you think Miami's just going to be a 11-12 win team that makes the playoffs, makes a deep playoff run, you're sadly mistaken. But if you think they're going to be a wild card exit or just completely miss the playoffs, then you probably won't be disappointed too much. But you guys let me know in the comment section below, do you agree or disagree with this video? And if you do disagree, let me know peacefully in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed it,
I ain't gonna lie, bro, probably like the only real iffy team in here is Detroit. Now, I understand him having them like in here for disappointment because of them losing their coordinators, but I ain't gonna having them in here, like, I don't know, bro. That one was intriguing to me. I ain't gonna lie. But I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Y'all let me know what other NFL videos I'm to react to. Without further ado, I'm out. I'ma make them feel me, make them people when they chow me. And if you don't know me, I'ma make sure that you know me. I hate to say it, but I really think I'm broke. But I know I'm chosen, I really know I'm chosen. I know I'm chosen. I was just lost a year ago, but now I'm focused. When good at sports, this microphone can be my trophy. Not taking drugs, I found a better way of coping.